We have a couple different people that are going to qualify to move the hangars. We're not just going to let anybody move the hangars.
Okay.
Actually, Connolly is one of them. Okay, and we'll probably have one or two other people on the site that will be qualified to move your hangar over. During that, along with that, what we're trying to do is put enough pressure on the city, or I guess on LAWA, to waive the permit process for you guys and move the hangars in the same way that they were moved when they were moved from, you know, Sand Val to, you know, to the other park location up there. And we're hoping to do that because that will eliminate all the paperwork, and you guys will simply pick up your hangars and get them over to the new location. Along with that, you'll be responsible for a couple other things. One is the hangars have to look uniform. Painting doesn't necessarily look all that terrific, so we're going to come back with a, for most of you guys with like an executive 1 or 2 or whatever you might have, we're going to come back with a sheeting proposal. We'll get some of the hangar guys to maybe resheet the doors, put new weather strip on the bottom and new latches and new name tags and stuff like that. So we will be coming back with a proposal to upgrade some of the hangars.
I understand it's cheaper to do concrete than blacktop. Is that true? You told me it's cheaper to put down concrete than it is to put down blacktop anymore.
Well, he's saying if it's cheaper to put down concrete as opposed to asphalt.
Somebody told me that, and I just wondered what kind of surface you're going to put down. Asphalt sucks.
Well, the difference would be if we put down the asphalt, it's free. If you put down the concrete, you got to pay for it.
No, I mean the taxiways, the whole area.
Oh no, that's not true. That's absolutely not true.
All right. I'll have to figure that out. Somebody told me.
No, no.
So they lied to me, huh?
Yeah,
not the first. What a shocker.
Yeah, no. The construction we're doing out there is, you know, there's whatever 30 acres of military ramp. Most of it is in really nice shape. It's going to get overlaid and you know, all kinds of stuff. So.
Well, where you putting the hangars, is that the original military concrete, or is that outside that?
No, that's all on asphalt.
Next question is the orientation.
Harry, nobody can hear you.
He'll repeat the question. The orientation of the hangars. I understand you're going to run the hangars east and west now.
That's correct.
Well, the big box hangars, you're going to put them on the north side, so they're along the north?
Yes.
It seems to me it makes sense to put them all along the north side, because otherwise you lose space.
Well, the question was that the T hangars are now going to run east and west. The reason for doing that, we originally had them oriented the other way. When we went through the stormwater runoff systems that have to go on there, it became clear that we really couldn't protect the hangars from water because the entire ramp flows that direction into Bull Creek. The whole world kind of goes that direction. And so by turning them east-west, we can flow through the taxiways, and the only thing that we have to worry about protecting, of course, would be the ends of the hangars. So it made a lot of sense for the sheet flow. And of course, T-hangars, you know, the water's going to run through them, you know, and so what we're hoping to do is simply pave some elevated areas, you know, that'll run east and west, and the hangars plan on there. So.
What's your time schedule as far as you're anticipating for your new construction, not the existing hangars, to occupy like your tie downs and your first phase of hangars? What's your objective? Well,
oddly enough, within the first 60 days, when I say after the lease, I mean there's probably a couple of week period after the lease where we don't actually have the right to occupy. Again, we have to turn on some insurances and we have to do a whole bunch of paperwork. Probably within 60 days, we will be occupying the airport because we have tie-down areas that are getting built up at the old General Services building. We have a separate gate up there. We're going to have a temporary clubhouse, something similar to what Pentastar has over here for the tie-down areas. So we'll be locating people on the site within about 60 days.
So like we have five tie-downs and a hangar reserve. Will we be included then in that initially?
Are you must be one of the flight schools or something?
K-12 flight club.
Okay. Well, your building will not be built
I
for.
understand that, but will we be able to tie
Sure.
down our aircraft?
Sure. It may not be the final place for
I
you.
understand.
Okay, but sure, absolutely. And there'll be a again, we're putting a temporary trailer. You know, very similar to what Pentastar has over here. So there'll be bathrooms and offices and stuff like that. So you'll be able to function. Absolutely.
One more question. We have a couple of mechanics working out of hangars on that McGuire area now. Will they be permitted to?
Sure. Sure. The areas, the temporary fencing that is at the Harold Lee area, that fencing will simply be relocated as the people come over. So you guys you'll be isolated from the construction. So actually, go ahead.
The grandfathered hangars, what are you going to be supplying as far as foundation? Is it going to be concrete or asphalt?
Asphalt.
And then will we have an option for concrete, or how's that going?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's your option.
Will you be working with us on that, or we have to get our own concrete?
You know, it really depends on, I guess I would say, your neighbor. Okay, for example, Connolly and his group, they're putting all their hangars together and they all want concrete. Okay, so they'll get a contractor and they'll just pave that one area and put their hangars down. You know, if you're one hangar in the middle of 10 and none of those guys want concrete, it'll be a little more difficult and the burden will be on you to solve that.
Now, is Christina going to somehow coordinate that?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and I mean, if you have 5 buddies that all want concrete, put them all together and now it becomes simple.
Steve, could you take just a wild guess at this point on what it would cost to put a concrete pad down for an average size TN? I mean, are we talking 10,000, 3,000?
Typical concrete through asphalt. Time you remove the asphalt and pour the concrete, it's about $625 a foot.
$625 a foot.
Correct. So whatever.
When you initially start up with your clubhouse and all that stuff, originally when we talked to you, you're going to be providing fuel services at a discount to the people that occupy your site. Are you going to be doing that?
Well, depending on when we can plug in our fuel farm, okay, we'll probably make a deal with you know, one of the other FBOs come over and fuel, you know, allow them on the site and, you know, make a deal with them to do the fuel.
On the new construction hangars, for those of us that applied a deposit early on at a specific rent value, I noticed that the rents on the site have gone up since then.
Sure.
Are you going to honor the price that we signed in at? Are we going to get a lease, or what you want?
You know, I don't actually know because oddly enough, LAWA has actually raised us also according to CPI since we started the process. So yeah, your rent will probably follow that CPI track.
So the deposit we put down expecting the rent to be a certain number isn't valid?
I would say yes. I mean, we're still going to have to adjust it to today's dollars. I mean, I would imagine it probably has gone up, you know, what's the CPI, 2 or 3% probably.
In regards to the new construction, for those of us who put a deposit on the rent, what is the timeline for starting to build those and completion in your estimate? What's your crystal
Well,
ball?
we're building, I'm sorry, the guy that asked the question about the rent, the leases are actually, guys, going to be whatever you want the leases to be. If to answer your question about the leases, if you want a 30-year lease, okay, or 25-year lease, we will absolutely do that. Okay, but the lease still has to follow LAWA's lease. I point to LAWA, she's here somewhere. The lease will still have to follow LAWA's.
Is the rent on the hangars going to reflect the economy in any way?
It'll.
Is something they're going to establish versus other airport rents, or how are they going to?
Well, again, our leases have to follow LAWA, okay? So if LAWA gives us a CPI adjustment every year of 1% or something like that, your rent's going to go up 1%. If at the 5-year adjustment period, we always hear about the infamous 5-year period, that will be the adjustment for the economy. So basically, everybody's rent on the park will follow LAWA.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. You're gonna provide us with some asphalt?
Yes.
And if I want to put concrete, are we gonna get any kind of credit or?
No, because we're not asphalting individual hangars. We're asphalting the whole thing.
And if we have 5 guys in a row?
If you could put 5 guys in a row, sure. But to have one little cutout is kind of more of a problem than it's worth. But yes, and again, any of you guys thinking about concrete, clearly you want to consult with your neighbor, because that would make everything a lot easier.
But how do I know who's my neighbor?
Well, Christina, can we make a concrete list?
Have one, they need to be tied as soon as possible so I can put them together.
Okay. Okay, so I tell you what, we'll put on the website. We'll put on the website a place to click on that you want concrete. Okay, and maybe if enough people want concrete, you're right. If there's enough people want concrete, then we would absolutely, deduct for the asphalt that we don't have to put down. Okay.
Steve, you'd want to know people that are T hangers opposed to rectangle hangers that would be together so they would work together.
T's and rectangles kind of doesn't matter to us. It would be if I got 10 together.
Right.
Now it's a road. It becomes very simple and.
But I mean, those people that have rectangle hangers would want to partner with people that have rectangle hangers, right?
Most likely you would not do concrete like a T.
Right.
You would do concrete flat. Okay, most likely. Given the
So it won't really matter.
Not really. I cut you off.
So for those of us who want to rent a new hangar, who put our deposits down like 3 or 4 years ago,
Correct.
what is your timeline of new construction and completion for those hangars?
Okay, right now our construction timeline is 18 months. So
from when you take
the lease. Okay. Now I don't know what building you're in. Okay. I mean, we're building it pretty much the way you see in the construction areas. The very last building to be built is going to be D on this side of the terminal. I mean, obviously our need for the terminal doesn't exist until we have tenants there. So that kind of is the last thing. But building M and N and L and everything on the front over there, all of that stuff gets built first.
Are there plans to self-serve fuel?
Yes.
How far down the line?
Self-serve fuel actually gets installed with the first building constructed, which is building N. Okay, so we're looking at self-serve fuel April-ish or May-ish or something like that. Okay, and it's a plug-in, fully automated facility. We don't have to build anything. We just have to plug it in.
Will the rates be better than the FBOs?
Yes. we're going to fix a price which will simply follow the spot check on fuel. Okay, we're not here to make money on, I don't want to say we're not here to make money on fuel, that's not right. Our goal is to rent the hangars and to make our hangars valuable, make the prop valuable. Our main source of income has nothing to do with fuel. We still have to, of course, pay for the fuel, and we have to pay for the, whatever the infrastructure that takes to do that. But we're going to come up with a number that, might be whatever, 62 cents or something over the cost of fuel, and that will simply float all the way through.
Independence only?
Yes and no. We are a co-op fuel system. During the course of this lease negotiation, we were originally granted the right to fuel. Apparently there are some people on the airport bitched about that, and so now we are granted the right to co-op fuel. You know what? It would drive you crazy if you tried to figure out the difference, okay? But we are going to be selling fuel at a considerably cheaper than what's available on the airport. Okay, and again, whether or not, most likely that will be available to anybody that flies in. I mean, again, we're not in the fueling business. We're in the service for the people that are there. My guess is we won't distinguish between transit or cash or credit or any of that stuff. It's just going to come out at a low rate. Somebody over there.
Yeah, I have a question. As a potential renter of one of these hangars, the size of one of these 42 by 34, is that door open or is that?
All of the sizes are center line of column. So effectively, your 42 feet is probably 4 inches smaller than that.
Is the door open?
Yes. Go ahead.
A couple things for people who have hangars that are being grandfathered in.
Yes.
Could you articulate a little bit about sort of some of the thinking behind, say, a 5-year lease versus 10-year lease, what the implications are for people who have a hangar?
Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Not because, again, you'll simply exercise your option, and all the leases are still going to follow.
So the hangar's there, it's been moved over. What's the thinking behind, like, say something happens 3 years from now, 4 years, 5 years from now, I'm getting out of the plane. What happens to the hangar? Do you buy it? Do I rent it?
Couple of options will be available to you. One is we buy it, or we simply manage it for you, collect the rent, and send you the check. I mean, we are making sure that these people that put these here, you'll have the ability to receive the income from that forever. And there's also be some provisions for you to put it in your will or trust or, pass it off.
Along the same lines, what happens at the end of the 30 years? Do you still own the hangar, or it becomes a property of law?
Becomes a property of law.
So, can you move it before that, or?
How old are you now?
Temporary structure is not a permanent structure.
The short answer is probably not. Again, LAWA is granting us this facility, and they're giving you a permanent home for 30 years for your hangar. And of course, what they receive for that is now they own your hangar. The short answer would be most likely no.
Over here. The lease, the actual lease that each one of us will receive, is is that, that'll come from you, and it'll be either pointed back to exactly like law was?
Yes.
When would we be able to get a look at that?
Can you repeat the question, please?
What he's asking is that when he can have a look at our lease and Lawa's lease. Okay. I would imagine that you can have Lawa's lease, I would think, when it's signed. We should be up, yeah.
But that would be the same lease that
Yes.
we're going to sign with you? Are we signing one with Pacific Air Group? Are we?
Yes, you'll be signing a lease with Pacific Aviation Development.
Okay.
And in that will reference the Lawa lease.
So the bulk of what we're going to want to see is going to be the Lawa lease.
Yeah, it's basically both things. We cannot override anything that's in the Lawa lease. I mean, you're still going to have to follow their lead on everything that we do. Okay, our lease will specify more of the material items. You know, how much it's going to cost you, and you know, that you need to whatever sweep up behind your hangar and some of these odd things like that. But it'll still follow Lawa's lease, and I will tell you that we have a pretty good lease. I mean, we spent a tremendous amount of money, almost $400,000 in lawyers' fees for this lease. Some of the stuff, and we also had to pay for Lawa's lawyers. So some of this stuff is, quite honest, it's kind of nonsense. But it is a good, stable lease, and you guys will be able to put your hangars down and have a 30-year home. Okay, I mean, I can't tell